Hi, my name is Isabel Sexton. Today I'll be going over what we learned from this recent rat dissection as well as our past dissections. Now, in response to question 1, since both the rabbit and the rat are mammals, their internal and external features will be more similar compared to that of the other animals dissected. It can be seen that they are both mammals due to their shared characteristic of fur, also known as true hair, which is a trait only portrayed by mammals. Since the rabbit and rat are both mammals, the rabbit will have the same respiratory, digestive, and reproductive systems as the rat. Focusing on the rabbit's respiratory system in particular, it will also breathe in air through its mouth and or its external nares. As you can see, we have our rat here, mouth and external nares. And then it will go ahead, it would pass through the larynx, which you cannot see because the head was cut off, but it would be right above the trachea, air would pass down, and then it would enter the lungs through the bronchi, which branches out into bronchioles in the lungs, and then the air would pass through the alveoli, which converges with capillaries to oxygenate blood. Now, for the rabbit's digestive system, it will also resemble the rat system as well. Ingestion will occur at the mouth, along with a mechanical and a chemical breakdown of food from the rabbit's teeth and saliva. The broken down food would be passed through the pharynx, into the esophagus, and into the stomach, where the majority of physical and chemical digestion will take place. The digestive food would then be passed on to the small intestine, the cecum, and the large intestine, where nutrients are absorbed. The waste would then be expelled through the anus, and just like the rat, the rabbit also has a liver and pancreas to help with the chemical digestion. As you can see, there's the mouth. Again, you can't see the pharynx, but it's right in there, right above the esophagus. Go down. There's the stomach, pancreas, small intestine. There's the cecum, large intestine, anus, and then you have your lobes of the liver. Now, as for the rabbit's reproductive system, just like the rat's, will consist of either male or female organs. If the rabbit is a male, he will have a penis, testis, and scrotum, and if the rabbit is female, just like our rat was, she'll have a vagina, which is right between the urethra and the anus, and a uterus, you can see right there, and ovaries. Now, for males, the penis transports urine and sperm to the external environment. The testis produces sperm and testosterone, and the scrotum contains the testis and its other structures. Now, for females, the vagina is where the penis is received during copulation. The uterus is where menstruation takes place, as well as where the fertilized egg implants and develops into a fetus. And the ovaries produce eggs, as well as the hormones progesterone and estrogen. Now, focusing more on the other animals that are dissected, specifically their respiratory systems first, the earthworm has the most simple form. It exchanges gases through cutinous respiration, which means that it essentially breathes through its skin. On the other hand, the other organisms have more of a specialized respiratory system. The crayfish, squid, and perch all have gills due to their aquatic living environment. However, as you can see, their structures do differ. Now, looking at all their digestive systems, it can be seen that they all have a complete digestive system because all of their systems start with the mouth and end with the anus. However, they do consist of different organs. For all the organisms, ingestion does start at the mouth, and the ingested food passes through the pharynx and down the esophagus. Now, for earthworms in particular, the esophagus leads to the crop, which stores food, and the gizzard, which mechanically breaks down the food, while for the other organisms, the esophagus leads to the stomach, which is responsible for the majority of both mechanical and chemical digestion. All the organisms have an intestine for absorbing nutrients, but the earthworm, crayfish, and squid only have one intestine, while the perch in particular has both a small intestine and a large intestine. Now, while the undigested food is expelled from the anus in all of the organisms, there are more organs involved in the digestive systems of the squid and the perch. They both have a liver and pancreas to aid in chemical digestion, and the squid also has a cecum to help with digestion, and the perch has a pyloric ceca to help absorb nutrients. As for the reproductive systems, the earthworm is the only one that is hermaphroditic. It can both give sperm through its seminal vesicles and receive sperm through its seminal receptacles. Meanwhile, the other organisms are all either male or female. Earthworms, male crayfish, male squid, and male perch all have testes. However, the perch has paired testes, while the other organisms do not. There are also differences regarding where the sperm exits the body. Sperm is released from the male crayfish's copulatory swimmerets, but it is released from a male squid through its penis. Now, for earthworms and the male perch, the sperm is released through the genital pore. For all of the organisms, the earthworm and females have an ovary for producing eggs. However, they have some differences as to where and how they receive sperm. Earthworms receive sperm through seminal receptacles, while both the crayfish and squid have sperm receptacles. The perch has a genital pore through which the female releases eggs. It sounds fertilization occurs externally in perches, which contrasts the process of internal fertilization that takes place in the other organisms. Now, as for the third question, regarding the earthworm, it is a hermaphrodite. This is selected due to the low probability of finding a mate. It lays a lot of eggs, but leaves them on their own in the ground. So due to this, the survival rate of the offspring is pretty low compared to that of an animal that is either male or female and reproduces by internal gestation. However, earthworms can produce up to 38 cocoons per year to help increase their population, so that does have some impact on the survival rate overall. Now, the crayfish is either male or female, and this was chosen due to the high probability of finding a mate in its environment. The female lays a lot of eggs, and she protects the fertilized eggs until they're hatched and mature enough to go out on their own. Due to this, the survival rate of the offspring is higher compared to that of the earthworm, due to the mother's nurturing nature. The squid is also either male or female, and this is selected due to the high probability of finding a mate in its environment. The female lays a lot of eggs and leaves the eggs to develop and hatch on their own. Now, due to this vulnerability of the eggs, the survival rate of the offspring is lower compared to that of the crayfish, and possibly even the earthworm as well, considering the vast amount of predators that are active in the ocean. And the perch, just like the crayfish and the squid, is also either male or female, and this was selected due to the high probability of finding a mate in its environment. It lays a lot of eggs in a well-protected environment of weeds, and leaves them there to develop and hatch. Now, due to this protection despite the parent's absence, the survival rate of its offspring is high compared to that of the squid. As for the rat, just like the crayfish, the squid, and the perch, it is also either male or female, and this was selected due to the high probability of finding a mate in its environment. It carries out internal embryonic development, carrying on average about 8 pups per litter. Due to this, the survival rate of its offspring is high compared to the earthworm, crayfish, and squid, and perch, especially considering the fact that rats nest together and live in colonies, meaning that even after birth, the pups are protected throughout their growth into maturity. As for the last question, the physiology of a perch would not support the metabolic needs of a rat because due to the rat's endothermic trait, its metabolic needs are much, much higher than that of a perch. The perch only has a single circulatory system, so it wouldn't be able to provide enough blood and oxygen to the muscles and organs of the rat, which has a double circulatory system. Along with that, the perch also has gills, which, given the terrestrial habitat of the rat, would not provide enough oxygen to the rat's body as well. And that is all I have for today. Thank you for listening.